Okay, and then what about the questions? So you're saying you have questions, just
Anything.
about anything?
Well, about the Thessalonians chapter 1.
About what we're studying.
So then, then next
Week.
Thursday.
If there's anything that I say tonight that elicits a question during the week or something, write it down and ask away.
I'm gonna get little books,
Maybe we'll have an answer, maybe we won't.
like a notebook or something for these to go in. I just didn't get it. Exactly.
Welcome. How's your health? How's your health? No service next Thursday, third time's a charm, I hope, for me. My health is going to get its rear end looked at.
Hey, I got a question. What's wrong with your earring?
Yeah. Nothing a good old Roto-Rooter supposedly won't cure. No, there's some questions that they need answers for. And I've been sick with coughing for 2 months, so I kept canceling. But this next week we will definitely do it. And barring some strange thing, but there won't be any service here next Thursday night. We will return in August. So
We'll be back when?
first week of August. Just one.
That's when Jacob's supposed to be done.
Wow. Okay. You just keep saying things and they just keep buying it, doesn't she? I mean, my goodness. My goodness. Could sell this woman something. All right. Anyhow, tonight's message, tonight's Bible study is on Paul's conduct. Remember, we're heading into, Paul's going to be talking about the end of times. We're setting stages. We're setting what he's going to be getting into. Tonight, we get an opportunity to understand Paul a little bit better. We get to understand him a little bit better. He will be very clear about his life as a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ tonight. His approach to this gospel should be a blueprint for every one of us. If you're sharing it or if you're hearing it, the blueprint. Keep that in mind. Imagine how your life could be when you follow the example of someone who was fearless for God. Paul was fearless for God. Amazing man of faith. Yesterday, I had an opportunity with the neighbor. I missed it. Completely missed it. Not sure why, probably because my mind was on me, not on Jesus. Brought up, we're just talking. Bill, what the heck you up to? And we're just out there talking a little bit. He's putting in a little bit of cement here, a little digging there, making noise. And he goes, yeah, and we're just talking about this and that and things that men talk about. And then he brings up, yeah, I don't know where I'll be when this is all over. But, whoever gets the house, we'll let them pick up my mess. And I just didn't. It's like, what do you mean you don't know where you'd be? I said, I just was thinking about me. I don't think Paul ever thought about Paul. Paul always thought about Jesus, and then he lived Paul, but he thought about Jesus. It's a place. It happens to us. It's happened to me. It's kind of irritating. I'm going to pray for him tonight. And, maybe I'll get another chance maybe I won't. The important thing isn't about me and my chances. The important thing is about him and his chance with the Lord. I was served it up on a platter and walked right past it. Tonight we will pray for him and his need for an answer, because he needs an answer, because he doesn't know what's next. See, that's the exciting part of living for the gospel. Even when we miss an opportunity, we have fuel for prayer. It isn't about us anyhow. It's about what God is doing in his life. Having questions, that God's working in his life, working in his heart. I'm sure 20 years ago he didn't have any questions. He was just living his life. He's my age, maybe a year older. Contractor. We have a lot in common. Quite interesting how we can meet Thursday after Thursday, Sunday after Sunday. I study, I read, I do all this, and I get a softball lobbed to me and I miss it. Didn't even swing. Dropped in for a called third strike. You're out. Next. No guilt, though. Can't live in guilt. See, that's a learning opportunity for me as well. Just my focus was off a little bit. I wasn't ready for it. Tonight, maybe we'll understand a little bit better how to do this. So let's go. 2 Thessalonians, 2nd chapter, verses 1 through 4. For you yourselves know, brethren, that our coming to you was not in vain. But even after we had suffered before and were spitefully treated at Philippi, as you know, we were bold in our God to speak to you the gospel of God in much conflict. For our exhortation did not come from error or uncleanness, nor was it in deceit. But as we have been approved by God to be entrusted with the gospel, even so we speak, not as pleasing men, but God who tests our hearts. This spiteful torment that Paul's referring to is recorded in Acts chapter 16, where they were improperly stripped and flogged, from which they were exempt because they were Roman citizens. This should have never happened. Paul and Silas, Roman citizens. It is against the law for them to be stripped and flogged. It's an even greater outrage as charges were brought against them without inquiry. There had to be an inquiry. They had to be, like a court thing, a case. There had to be an inquiry before a judge. There was none. They were preaching Jesus. People didn't like it. They drug him into the jail. I think, is that where Paul cast out the demon? I think out of the soothsayers. He had this demonic girl who could tell the future, made this guy tons of money. And she kept walking around saying, I know who you are. I know you are, you, Paul. And Paul just got tired of it. He said, just come out of her. The demon was gone. She was healed, and she was no longer of any use to this person. So there was great anger against Paul and Silas, and they flogged them, stripped them, flogged them without an inquiry. And they didn't even ask, are you Roman citizens? Because you couldn't do that to Roman citizens. A Roman citizenship kept you from being flogged. Couldn't be done. I'm sure they could still kill you, but they wouldn't flog you, because flogging was, not only was it painful, it's disrespectful. It shows no respect at all for the human. They were doing nothing wrong, yet their punishment was great. Today, too many get outraged with much smaller issues. Oh. Imagine if we had to endure what these men did. Would we even talk about Jesus? Even in a safe place, much less outward and openly. Yet it didn't deter them one bit. Here they are doing it again. They continued with much vigor. Not for human approval, but for God's. It's all that matters. This is what Paul is saying. It's all that matters. Is this gospel. I must remind you, or perhaps enlighten you, to the fact that Paul is again writing from a prison. Part of the prison epistles. Paul's in prison. This time he's in Rome. He's in a Roman prison. He's writing to the Thessalonians, a church he founded. He wrote to the Philippians from a different place, church he founded, from a prison. Gets out, starts talking Jesus, gets thrown back in prison. His trip to get into the Roman prison was quite something. You read about that in the book of Acts. This time he's in Rome. Do you think he would ever stop knowing that this reoccurring problem persists? That he's going to get out, he's going to talk about Jesus, they're going to throw him in jail. He's going to get out, he's going to talk about Jesus, they're going to throw him in jail. I think perhaps he did know. I really do. Thought about this a lot. And he didn't care. Selfless. I must, if I can share the gospel with one person, the neighbor, get them saved. My life means everything. Paul gets out, man, I got to share this gospel. It's burning in me. Got to share it. Got to get it out. And he didn't do it for human approval, but for God's. And here's another thing. It gave him time to write. When you're in prison, you got a lot of time to write. Where he wrote these epistles. Lots of them in prison. Imagine where we would be if he wasn't contained. Imagine where we would be. Would he have had time to write these? I mean, we read these and all this. Imagine. We're reading in the English language, and dare I say, in a much watered down version of what the true gospel message is. Because as you study and try to understand the Greek, Paul would use words like one time in all these different epistles. There'd be one time he'd use a word, and it's the only time it showed up in all of New Testament. Because it had this certain special meaning by the way it was written with these letters and these jots and these tittles and all these things. The emphasis on Greek writing is tremendous. And Paul would write this perfect sentence, perfect word structure. That doesn't just happen. You don't just sit down and write that. He spent much time, there's no doubt, much time in prayer, in contemplation, sharing these incredible truths that we get to read. Where would we be if Paul said, you know what? I'm tired of going to jail. I'm not doing it anymore. They're on their own. You want to hear about it? Come over to my house. I'll tell you about it. I'm not doing this anymore. Man, I'm getting tired of getting beat up. Man, I'm getting tired of jail. It's